we interrupt this regularly scheduled broadcast for a special update. I've been getting hammered with questions about whether or not Facebook is going out of business, so we are addressing this right now. Hello everyone, you recognize I'm here again in my Shopify sweater. Today though, we've got a special edition. It's my 89 pin for Mike Ditka. 89 is the price at which I own my Shopify stock at. And Corey and I, Corey helped me select this pin off of eBay so I could really be a representative of my love for Shopify. And today, while the world is crashing down all around us, the tech scene is on fire, Shopify's stock is plummeting, I'm here as an act of solidarity to represent that I don't believe that the world is over, as many people are feeling. So today what we want to talk about, besides that Shopify little tangent there, is really about the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal and everything that's going on related to privacy and what the implications are on Facebook, and whether that means that we are going to shut the doors here at CTC and stop serving ads on the platform, and if the golden era of paid social has come to an end. So we're going to be going through a bunch of things today to help address that. I've literally had outreach from almost all of our clients, potential investors that we have in 4x400, potential clients, friends, like just random people on the street. Everyone wants to know whether or not, what the implications are for Facebook advertising based on this scandal. So as a quick summary for those of you that don't know, what has happened is over the last couple weeks there was a story that has sort of come back to life that was initially broken, I think about a year and a half ago, about an organization called Cambridge Analytica. And Cambridge Analytica was basically a data research firm that went through a process in 2007 of using an app on Facebook called My Personality, which allowed people to connect on Facebook to an app and take a personality quiz that sort of sorted them into what are called like the 5 big personality categories. The acronym's OCEAN. It's like openness. Each of the letters is a different acronym for some personality trait that this quiz was intended to take. You guys probably remember this on Facebook. There used to be a ton of these. But in that same time frame, Facebook introduced something called Facebook Connect, which I'm sure many of us still use today to log on to different apps. You can connect to Pinterest and Instagram and all these different apps using Facebook Connect. It was intended to be a way to create data portability, was sort of the grand vision that they had. And the idea was, you may think of this on your phone, right? Your calendar. The way that all your friends' birthdays ended up on your calendar to where you would get a reminder that it's Corey's birthday today was because when you connected your calendar app to Facebook, it would port over all of your friends' data, including their birthdays. And the idea was that if you could bring your social network with you into these other apps, it would be a better social experience. At least that was the positive view of the opportunity. What happened from some of these sort of darker players, the way they utilize this data, and Cambridge Analytica in particular, is they would have you sign up for a quiz to take your personality traits, and then they would pull all of your friends' data into it. So what happened was they got about 270,000 people to take this quiz and ended up with 50 million profiles of people that they were then able to sort into political affiliation and also information about how sort of, we'll say, confrontational they were, so how likely they were to maybe react with anger towards certain types of content. That data then was sold to a group that used it to create targeting during the election. Steve Bannon and his band of merry trolls were involved in that purchase. And so Facebook is receiving heat, not because Facebook sold the data. Let's be really clear. This is sort of a thing that you'll hear, is that Facebook was selling people's data. That's not what happened. Facebook allowed developers to access their API and pull data off of their servers onto third-party servers. What those developers did with that data was then untracked by Facebook, and in this case it was sold. And so the illegal act was technically committed by Cambridge Analytica, who's been booted off of Facebook and will be facing all sorts of criminal charges, etc. But Facebook's taking heat because basically they didn't do a good enough job of monitoring the flow of the data off their platform onto third parties. The rule was you were supposed to delete it after 24 hours, it wasn't used, and they had all these rules, and they even had a legal document where they checked with Cambridge Analytica, and Cambridge said that they had gotten rid of it and that they didn't misuse it, but Facebook's in trouble because they didn't follow up. And so what's basically happened now is that this has been a gateway into all of a sudden this examination of, holy crap, how much data does Facebook have about me and how are they using it, and all of these different things, right? Which is not a new reality for anybody, but all of a sudden there's this sort of heightened awareness of what could potentially happen with your data in the hands of the wrong person. And really the thing that everyone's concerned about is that this sort of behavior influenced the election. We're going to set aside an analysis of whether that is possible or whether it was effective what they did. I would love to debate that with you over a beer sometime, but for the sake of what we want to talk about today is what are the implications for the future of advertising on the platform. So a few of the things that have already happened, that Facebook has already implemented, they are clearly moving quickly on this. They care about sort of recreating their image or repairing their image in the perception of people. So even today, we received an update from our Facebook rep about changes on the platform as it relates to advertising. So here are a few of those. One, you are no longer able to upload custom audiences and see the potential reach of that audience. So here's what that means. One of the most powerful mechanisms on Facebook is that you can take an external email list. So if you're a client or an e-commerce company, you can upload your customer email list into Facebook, and based on their email address, it will match that email address to the profile of the user and be able to tell you how many people you matched. So if you uploaded 1 million email addresses, it would give you a number and say, hey, you've reached 60,000, we have an audience of 60,000 people that you could potentially advertise to. They're no longer going to tell you how many people you could potentially reach or how many they matched out of your list. Part of the reason for this was that people were using those numbers to basically game to be able to singularly isolate individuals to target. So you would upload a list of 30 people, and then you would say, okay, if I know that 29 of them are female and 1 is male, I'm then going to go into my settings and alter it to switch to, I'm going to exclude females or males, and I'm going to be able to isolate individual people. So you're not going to know how many people you've matched. So that's just going to make things a little more challenging. It's not going to prohibit you from advertising to custom audiences. You're just not necessarily going to know the size. We don't really care about this. This doesn't really matter that much to us. The only way that this is, all you're going to have to do is do a closer job of watching your frequencies, and you're probably going to have to start with smaller budgets in cases where you're dealing with a small list where you don't know how many it would match. The second thing is you can no longer take that list, so that custom audience, and then use Facebook's tool called Audience Insights to pull data back about who those people are. So you used to be able to upload your email list into Facebook and then use a tool called Audience Insights to get all sorts of demographic, income, interest level data about those people. Well, you can no longer see that tool. Facebook Audience Insights still exists, but you cannot use pixel level or custom audience level data to analyze audiences. This is a bit of a problem. It's not, again, it's not something we did regularly, because a lot of times we're able to create hypotheses about who these people are without using that tool, but it was certainly helpful in coming up with ideation about different audience targeting options. So we'll call that one a small hindrance, but again, not a major issue. The third thing is that, and this was actually announced earlier this year, is that Facebook is going to be requiring or making available the ability to see every ad that a property is running on their page. So if you wanted to go to Common Thread Collective, we run our own advertising for our content. If you wanted to go to our Facebook page, coming this summer, there will be a tab that allows you to look at, right now you can see all our pictures, our posts, our videos. There will be a tab that allows you to see all of the ads that we're running. So what that does is it creates transparency about all the content that somebody is running, so you can see the ads that they're running to see if there's anything nefarious. The next thing that is, I believe, is coming, and Mark Zuckerberg in his interview with CNN basically said, is that Facebook's going to be complying whether it passes or not. There's a bill in Congress right now called the Honest Ads Act. You can look that up if you want and read through it. And basically it was created as a way to prevent election meddling by foreign parties. And the way that what the bill entails is it's going to require that Facebook disclose an entire list of who is buying election-based ads. Because basically what was happening in this past election is that there were these sort of anonymous LLCs that were purchasing election data, and none of that information was revealed. So now all of a sudden, everybody who's buying election ads, there's going to be a list published for anybody I think who buys over, I think it's $100 worth of ads. On top of that, one of the things that people think will come out of that act is clarity around targeting. So obviously Facebook's really powerful because of the targeting that's created. So if you get an ad, a lot of times people will say things like, oh my gosh, Facebook's listening to me. How did they know that I'm in this audience? How did I get this ad? Well, pretty soon you're going to know why, because there's going to be a little snippet that allows you to understand the targeting preferences that were set that allowed them to put you into that group. So all that's going to do is if every ad that you get, you're going to know why and how you got it, which I think is a good thing. I don't know that that's necessarily going to have a negative impact. I think that people feel that it's creepy or imposing if they're receiving ads and they don't know how. We all fully expect that if we visit a website, we're going to be remarketed to, or if we're a big Yankees fan, it's not surprising to us to see Yankees memorabilia or tickets to Yankees games as advertising. And so I think that level of transparency will just be a net positive. So those are some of the changes that are tactically coming to the platform. Now, one of the other questions that we get is like, what about increased privacy, use of privacy settings by individual users or users fleeing the platform? You may have seen the delete Facebook sort of meme that was going around. SpaceX, Elon Musk deleted SpaceX and the Boring Company's Facebook pages. Will Ferrell left Facebook. Sonos, I know, is a brand that deleted their Facebook page. So there is this movement of people that are saying that Facebook as a platform should be abandoned. As of right now, sitting here today, this is like a very, very little concern to me. The actual user departure. This story is still pretty niche. Obviously, us in the community, we are well aware of it, but my mother has no idea who Cambridge Analytica is, neither does my wife or my brother-in-law. And the story is, privacy is still an issue that is super important for a small group of people and not important at all for a large group. So I think that in terms of, and social media is so ingrained in our behavior that I don't anticipate a large user departure from the platform. And what's interesting is even these people that are deleting their Facebook page, they're not deleting their Instagram account. So there's sort of a weird relationship with where this is it's sort of a political statement as much as it is a functional statement about their belief of the function of the platform. We have seen zero decline in terms of ad engagement, reach, CPM cost. Like nothing has been affected for us on the ad level in terms of the performance or user engagement on the platform at all. It's something to monitor. We'll keep an eye on it and we'll keep you updated on anything that we're seeing there, but it's not an issue I believe to be a massive one. The other thing is I thought a lot about this and I put a tweet out the other day, and this is essentially what I said, is that I believe that an increase in transparency of targeting and advertising is only going to serve those who deal in transparency in their messaging and product. And for us, one of our core values here at CTC is that there's room for the truth in marketing. We believe that the best type of advertising is authentic, it's genuine, it's transparent, and I think that these moves can actually serve to benefit that type of advertising. The reality is what they're trying to protect against with all this legislation and regulation is manipulation of users. Right? Where what happened was you had these like bad actors come in and use fake news and salacious content to try and ignite and alter people's opinions related to political matters. This is not about serving tickets to a Yankees game to a Yankees fan. That is the benefit of data proliferation that exists, is to create experiences that are custom to you that you will enjoy. And we believe that if we can find CrossFitters and serve them Theragun ads, which is an amazing product that will benefit their life, they're going to be receptive and excited to see that kind of advertising. And so we think in the end this can actually benefit us by removing a lot of the advertising and competitors in the space that are acting, the excessive aggressive drop shippers, the clickbait content, the media companies that are trying to drive anger and confrontation on the platform. I would love to see all of that get regulated away from the platform so it's a place that's more authentic. I think that's only going to seek to, at the end of the day, is only going to benefit a company like ours. So obviously this is something to keep an eye on, and we are in every Facebook ad group. We have direct contact with Facebook itself. We are monitoring our ads closely. And as of right now, there's nothing that leads me to believe that there's a massive issue coming related to this platform. The reality is, though, is that the world will continue to change, and maybe privacy policies become more of a thing that people genuinely care about. And the thing that we'll say at CTC is the same thing we've said from the beginning, is that we first and foremost exist to help people sell product. Right now, Facebook is the tool for that, but we are not a Facebook advertising company. And we will continue to seek out the best way to sell product on the behalf of our clients. When we started business back in 2008 at Power Balance and we're selling product, Facebook was not the vehicle we used to build that company, and we don't think it'll be the vehicle we use to build companies in 10 years. And so we will constantly be reactive on behalf of our clients, and that's part of why we've introduced the creative testing process that we talked about with Michelle a couple episodes ago, because the key thing to continue to learn is to try and figure out what is working and not hold to old sort of ideals about what worked on the platform and be sad when they stop working. You've got to adjust and continue to figure out ways to perform. I do think that it is important that people begin to understand what data of theirs exists. So I'm going to give you guys a tool. If you've stuck around this long, there's a great thread on Twitter by a guy named Dylan Curran. His handle is I am Dylan, D-Y-L-A-N, Curran, C-U-R-R-A-N, where he talks about how much data is stored by Facebook and Google. Because the reality is that this problem, if you call it that, or the proliferation of data access, the ball is already too far down the hill. If you go look through that and realize how much companies, not just Facebook, Google, Twitter, Amazon know about you as an individual, the reality is that cat is out of the bag. We can't back out of that information that has already been shared. And the reality is, if you think about how difficult it is to pass gun laws because a lobbyist group like the NRA exists, the NRA pales in comparison in size to companies like Facebook and Google and others. So the ability to legislate through giant corporations like that to pull them out of their revenue, one, it will take immense amounts of time. And two, it's going to be incredibly difficult for them to ever be fully pulled back. So if it's something you really care about, there are ways to sort of use the settings, and Facebook's going to be adjusting their menu options to make privacy settings easier. But check out that thread by I am Dylan Curran to understand what it is that these companies know about you and how that data is used. Again, one of the things I had a conversation with somebody yesterday is that, and they were saying, you know, are algorithmic feeds good? Should we not just be chronological? Is Facebook a net negative for society? This is a big conversation. And what I'll say is that I believe that you end up with the community that you foster. And as a brand, if you're using clickbait, manipulation, or deception as a vehicle for selling ads, at the end of the day, I believe that will fail. I think at the end of the day, your relationship with your customer that's based on a genuine desire to see them succeed and have great experiences, those are the brands that will continue and since the beginning of time have always succeeded. You know, there's always these moments in time where arbitrage of distribution or information allows people to come in and sort of take advantage of systems. Then they get sort of secured and people are able to go through it. I've seen some of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life happen on social platforms. If you think about the JJ Watt raising $40 million through social. I've referenced to some of you guys Musa Tariq and what he does with his community in terms of people helping people. Just really beautiful things that happen on these platforms. It's all about that you end up with the community that you foster. And that's true from an advertising stance. And that's the stance we'll continue to take with our brands. And for now, here today, we're excited about the future of Facebook. We're excited about the future of Shopify and these tech companies to continue to do great things in the world and to continue to empower brands to sell product. But if that changes, we'll update you. Thanks for listening.